The rain was a greasy curtain clinging to the neon signs of the Blue Moon Club. It slicked the pavement, reflecting the bloody glow in distorted puddles. Inside, the air was thick with cigarette smoke and the cloying sweetness of cheap perfume. I, Jack Rourke, private investigator, nursed a rye and watched the crowd. A dame with legs that went on forever and a voice like crushed velvet was on stage, warbling a tune about lost love and regret. It was the kind of song that made you feel dirty, even if you hadn't done anything wrong. My client, a nervous little man named Arthur Finch, had paid me a hefty sum to observe this very scene. He claimed his sister, Lila Finch, a singer at the Blue Moon, was being pressured. He hadn't specified by whom or about what, just that she was in danger. Danger was my business. Lila Finch, when I caught a glimpse of her between sets, was everything her brother had failed to mention. She wasn't a victim. She was a predator, draped in silken shadow, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. She was currently engaged in an animated conversation with a man who looked like he spent a good portion of his life dodging fists and questions. His name was Sal Demarco, and he was trouble. Big trouble. So in the box, and everything that moved on then. He had a reputation for a temper as short as his stature, and a network of informants that stretched into every corner of the city. He wasn't the kind of man you crossed, and Lila Finch seemed to be doing just that. I watched as Lila laughed, a brittle, nervous sound. Sal's hand rested a little too long on her arm, his smile a little too tight. It was a power play, a silent warning. "She's got a good voice, Arthur," I said, turning to my client who was practically sweating through his expensive suit. "Too good to be wasting it in a place like this." Arthur wrung his hands. "She says she likes it here, that she's happy." I took another sip of rye. "People rarely are what they seem, Arthur, especially in this city." My gaze drifted back to Lila and Sal. They were arguing now, their voices low and urgent. Lila's hand shot out, slapping Sal across the face. The room seemed to hold its breath. Sal didn't retaliate. His eyes, dark and menacing, burned into Lila's. He simply nodded to a hulking figure who materialized at his side. The figure, built like a brick house, led Lila away, pushing her towards a private room at the back of the club. "What's going on?" Arthur whispered, his voice trembling. "Looks like our little singer just stepped on someone's toes," I said, standing up. "Let's see what she's gotten herself into." The private room was small and sparsely furnished. A single lamp cast a sickly yellow glow on the scene. Lila was pacing, her face a mask of barely suppressed anger. Standing across from her was a woman I recognized, Veronica Bellwether, Sal Demarco's right-hand woman. Veronica was as ruthless as they came, with a reputation for silencing anyone who threatened Sal's operation. "You're playing a dangerous game, Lila," Veronica said, her voice like ice. "Sal's been very generous to you, allowed you to sing here, protected you from the vultures circling. Don't forget who you are." "I'll sell nothing," Lila snapped. "I earned my place here." "You think you do," Veronica sneered, "but you're forgetting about the ledger." "The ledger?" Lila's eyes narrowed. "Your father's ledger," Veronica clarified. "The one detail in every illegal shipment, every payoff, every dirty secret he compiled during his time working for Sal's father. The one you conveniently forgot to mention." My stomach dropped. Lila's father had been a longshoreman, a small-time crook who's disappeared a decade ago. Officially, he's drowned in an accident, but I suspected foul play. "He's dead," Lila said, her voice shaking. "He's been dead for years. He left you that ledger, Lila, and Sal wants it back. He's been very patient, but his patience is wearing thin." Veronica stepped closer, her voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "Turn it over, or things will get very unpleasant." I stepped out of the shadows, my hand instinctively going to the .38 I kept tucked inside my coat. "Leave her alone." Veronica turned, her eyes cold and calculating. "Rourke, always sticking your nose where it doesn't belong." "She's not hurting anyone," I said, keeping my voice calm. "She's betraying a debt," Veronica corrected. "A debt that belongs to a family." I sized up the situation. Veronica was backed by two boons the size of refrigerators. Fighting them wouldn't be pretty or likely to end well. "Let's not do anything we're going to regret," I said, holding up my hands. "What's in the ledger? What's so important?" Lila hesitated, then spoke. "He documented everything about the smuggling operation. The routes, the contacts, the payments." "And why didn't she turn it over?" I pressed. "Because I don't want Sal Demarco controlling my life," she said, her voice trembling. "My father wanted me to have it, to expose him, to expose what he's done." "And you think that's a good idea?" I asked. "Taking on a man like Demarco? It's a death sentence." "I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees," she retorted, meeting my gaze. I had to admire her spirit, even if it was bordering on suicidal. "Fine," I said. "I'll help you." Veronica laughed. "You think you can protect her? You're just a fool, Rourke." "Maybe," I conceded, "but I'm a fool with a gun." The next few days were a blur of clandestine meetings, late-night stakeouts, and coded messages. Lila and I were like shadows, slipping through the city's underbelly, trying to find a way to expose Demarco, without getting ourselves killed. We contacted a few old contacts of her father's, people who's once been part of the Longshoremen's Union, people who's been wronged by Demarco. We found a reporter, a woman named Maggie Shore, who was hungry for a story and willing to risk her career to get it. Maggie promised to publish the contents of the ledger, but she warned us that Demarco would be coming for us. He wasn't wrong. One rainy night, as we were leaving Maggie's apartment, we were ambushed. 2 cars blocked our escape route, and a dozen men poured out, armed to the teeth. Rourke, Lila, game over. A voice I recognized as one of Sal's top enforcers, a brutish man named Frankie the Hammer Morby. A firefight erupted. Bullets flew, shattering windows and ricocheting off the wet pavement. Lila was quick on her feet, dodging behind parked cars and using the chaos to her advantage. I returned fire, trying to cover a retreat, but we were outnumbered and outgunned. Just as I thought we were finished, a horn blared, and the black sedan screeched to a halt, blocking the attacker's path. Out stepped a figure I'd never seen before, a woman with a steely gaze and a Walther PPK in her hand. She moved with a lethal grace, taking down attackers with swift, precise shots. She was a ghost, a whirlwind of violence, a silent avenger. "Who are you?" I yelled over the din. She didn't answer. She just kept fighting, clearing a path for us to escape. Once we were safe, she turned to me. "Your friend has a lot of enemies," she said, her voice low and husky. "I'm here to make sure she doesn't have to face them alone." "Who sent you?" I asked. She smiled, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. "Let's just say I'm a friend of the family." Then she disappeared into the night, leaving me and Lila standing alone in the rain. The next morning, Maggie Shore published the story. The city erupted in scandal. Demarco's empire began to crumble. But I knew this was just the beginning. Demarco wouldn't go down without a fight. And whoever sent that mysterious woman was clearly playing a long game. Lila and I were caught in the middle of something bigger than we could have ever imagined. And I had a feeling that things were about to get a whole lot more complicated. I looked at Lila. She nodded once. Then we both walked away into the city, searching for answers in the rain. The fight for justice in this city never truly ends.